Okay, we are recording, so welcome everyone to our third cooking class for this late summer series, August 2021. And as you know, our theme has been cooking from different houses with different master chefs. And tonight we are in the home of Master Chef Leanne. And Leanne, you have 3 recipes for us tonight, is that right?
Well, yeah, and a dressing and a dip.
Okay,
So,
that is excellent. So I'll turn things over to you and you can go ahead and get started with your first recipe.
Okay. All right. Well, hello, everyone. I'm excited to get to do this. The theme that I had planned to go with this week was thinking for me how hot it is here in Tennessee. I'm not a native, so I like to do more fresh type things. So my other recipes are ones that you do need to chop and maybe get friends and family involved. But this first recipe, I'm gonna need to tilt this down, is a potato soup. You have onion, carrot, celery, potato that I make. You may think, oh, I have 5 different potato soup recipes. I mean, I know I do, but for whatever reason, this one, when my friend gave it to me and I made it, our family just loved it. It's very comforting, and it's one that I give to people on meal train. So I guess I don't show you the recipe, but you can access it later, is my understanding.
That's
So,
right. We are collecting all the recipes, and I'm going to be putting a link into the chat shortly that has all the recipes we have so far in our series.
okay, great.
So we obviously have 2 weeks worth of recipes, and as soon as we get yours, at some point in the next few days, we'll put those on there too.
Great. Okay. Well, I'll just hold this up. So this measuring container is 6 cups, and this recipe calls for 6 cups of whatever vegetables you want to use. And my people are really hungry, so usually I triple this recipe and do 18 cups. And you would not believe how fast that's gone. But just for the sake of brevity, I'm just doing the one recipe. So it's 6 cups. Our favorite, because I often have this in the pantry, is what I did 1 onion. This is probably 3 good sized carrots and 2 celery. And then I just finish it off. You just kind of chop how you want. But then when I'm doubling or tripling, I might add broccoli or cauliflower, so whatever you like. And you can make it faster. Sometimes I just take frozen broccoli or frozen cauliflower. And so I have my 6 here, and then I dump those 2 bags in and they make another 6, and bam, I've got double the recipe and I've barely had to do anything. So, okay, so let me just, okay, so I did wash my hands, I promise. Okay, and so that's 6 cups of veggies, and then you're going to put in, I think the beauty of this recipe is that you don't cook it in too much liquid. So I'm going to do a cup of water, pour that in, and I ran out of all the little containers to measure everything out in, but I figured this will go quick. So then we're going to do a tablespoon of chicken seasoning, and I just make my own, but you can easily buy them. That's a vegan chicken seasoning. And I think the reason why I like this recipe is maybe it just has, it's not a low salt recipe, but it just seems to have a fair amount of flavor for a very small amount of ingredients. And so then it's a teaspoon of salt. And then the next thing is going to be just half a teaspoon of garlic. And then you're going, while that's cooking, getting down to the dregs of my garlic. And while that's cooking, so then I'll just stir it up. You make what's called a basic cream sauce. So I'm sorry, I can't really show you the angle, but you just mix that all in. And I've added that cup of water. I'm going to add just slightly more because I think I did 7 cups because I just got going and couldn't stop. So I'm going to just put that on the stove. And it's important to cook this until it's tender. Don't add, I've made the mistake and been impatient before and added the cream sauce early and it just doesn't cook as well. So I'll let that cook. And I'm gonna set the timer so I don't forget about that. And so while that's happening, I'm going to make the cream sauce that you're just going to pour in once all the vegetables are cooked. So that is going to be 2 cups of water. And I'm just going to use the same container that I cooked the veggies, cut the veggies up in. My friend Sue gave me this recipe. Some of you might know her, Sue Natsby. So we just call it Auntie Sue's soup. And she said she makes this every week for her husband to take to work. And I never know how to describe why it's so yummy, but it's just comforting. So 2 cups of water. And then we're going to do the 1 teaspoon salt for this. So again, if you have somebody who's watching their salt, you can get away with reducing it. 2 teaspoons onion powder. And then 2 tablespoons cornstarch, which if you could use arrowroot if you wanted something that's processed. And then the last thing is it calls for a cup of cashews. And for this one recipe, a lot of times I'm looking for ways to cut fat and just try to eat a low fat diet. So I tend to do a half a cup and then I just do the other half with just unsweet almond milk. And I don't notice a difference. I will say though, if I'm bringing meal train or someone's coming to my house, I'll tend to put more cashew in because I know it's a little richer, but because we have this, I just kind of have it as a little staple in my fridge when Christian walks through the door and he's starving or he's eaten everything else that I have. I usually have this soup on hand. So my other recipes that I'm going to talk about tonight, you're going to soak the cashews. So if you don't have a Vitamix or a strong blender, I would soak the cashews for 30 minutes with boiling water. But most of the time with this, I just okay. I know like a lot of people let things maybe blend for a long time, but this is just sort of my lazy person soup. And I just pour it back in this container because I'm going to need this blender and just wait until it cooks. And then I'll add that and let the soup thicken up. And so that's the little bonus recipe because it's really easy, but it has a good amount of flavor. And you can add ahead.
Leanne,
Yeah.
what are the ingredients of your chicken seasoning?
Let me grab my. So my chicken seasoning has nutritional yeast, and I add cornmeal unless I know someone has an issue with corn or just cornmeal, and then I do paprika and onion powder, garlic powder, salt, thyme, basil. And then at the village market, I bought some dried celery leaves. I think that really makes a difference. I put that in. Some people like to add sage, but I don't like too much sage. So it's probably not a different than maybe what some of you make, but I just make a big container of it. So, or Christian does actually. He's the one that makes the chicken seasoning. But did you want me to say how much, or you just want me to mention ingredients, Doug?
No, just for tonight, I think ingredients, but if you're willing
Yeah.
to share the quantities, we can add that as a bonus recipe.
Sure.
for tonight.
Yeah, I can do more of a normal amount because ours feels like the industrial amount. But okay, so that's the soup, which somebody wants to remind me to stir it occasionally. It's a very easy. So I'll be curious if anybody tries it. Maybe it's a lot like one that you have, but and it's so easy. I'll just throw a cup or two in a little mason jar and bring it over to my mom. And there, I think why I like it is because people nowadays often have so many things they don't like, and most of the time people like this one.
About how long does the soup cook? Like you put it on, and I know you set a timer.
I would say 15 to 20 minutes. I set it for 15 just so I would, I'm going to stir it real quick, but so yeah, it's probably 20 minutes. It'll come to a boil after about 15, and then I just turn it to simmer. So
So it's a pretty quick recipe too. I mean, you
yeah,
obviously have some prep with chopping up the vegetables, but other than that, it's pretty quick.
but you can use so you could use the frozen broccoli, frozen cauliflower. You could do little matchstick carrots, or I mean, I guess there's no getting around chopping up the potato, but
There's frozen potatoes too.
oh
And they're
yeah,
little cubes.
Yeah.
They'd be smaller than yours probably, but
yeah. Well, and I cut these kind of small, and just depending on how fast or who's making it in my house, I have some people who chop larger than others. So Christian chops little tiny, so it cooks really quick. So, okay, so the next recipe. So I turn that soup kind of up on high, and then I'll turn it down to simmer. So, okay, so this next recipe, we have used it a fair amount. The fact that we go to church outside and it's so hot. So either we bring food with us, or we're going to go to a park. So this is called chickpea and seeds sandwich spread. So it's sort of a two-part recipe. So we're going to make the spread together, and then you can put that in the chickpea, the pita. And then what I'm going to show you, it's not anything complicated. I'm somebody that I like a lot of toppings. To me, that is just so pretty. So I make this green salad, and I put a bunch of toppings on it. And then you can choose to either toss it and put some on the top of your pita, and it has a lot of interest, or if that's too much flavor for you, you can have your pita sandwich and then the salad on the side. It's kind of something for everybody. And there's a little dressing that we drizzle. So I will show you that. I'm going to rinse this. Okay, So it's chickpea and seeds sandwich spread. I don't know if any of you have, let me grab this cookbook. I don't know if any of you have this, the Sure Size Alzheimer's Solution cookbook. They're neurologists at Loma Linda. They're not Adventists, but they've been there probably 5 years and kind of leading the crusade on trying to help people like myself, 50 and over, have good brain health. And so I've got, this comes out of this cookbook, but I've gotten some good recipes out of there. Let me just stir my soup. Okay, so that's been 10 minutes and it's at a boil. So I'm going to turn that down to simmer. Sorry that I have to keep disappearing. Okay, so this next recipe, we're going to use I'm totally blanking on what's called, food processor. And I'm just looking, I have a tray. Okay, so I don't really have a way to, maybe if I lift this and show you. Well, first, let me show you the pitas that I use. So we have a Trader Joe's opening soon. I use their whole wheat pita because I just am always looking for ways to reduce fat, but have it still taste good. And these don't have any oil in them. So that's what I'll be using, their whole wheat. So it's just a whole food, plant-based. So I'm trying to, if anybody has any ideas on how I can, I'd love to just show you this tray, but I guess if, no, that's probably not going to work, right? No. Okay. Well, I'll just tell you as I go. So, so this recipe has two components. You start with 2 cups of chickpeas that you mash. I just used a potato masher. Okay, so that is mashed up. And then I'm going to add to that 1/4 of a cup red onion. Okay. And then I'm going to add to that 1/4 of a cup celery. And I like to chop those fine. And then I'm going to add a tablespoon of capers chopped. You don't have to use capers. I don't really like capers plain, but I will use them in some recipes. But if you don't care for them, the recipe is still good without it. And then I've kind of been using more recently, I've started to use fennel. I get it at Publix. Most of what I get is from Aldi or Walmart. It's very reasonable. And since it seems like my herbs are often dying, I can just use the fennel fronds and put that, in this case, I'm just putting it in this spread. I don't use it very strong, but just gives it a little flavor. So I'm going to mix that up. So that was just chickpeas, onion, celery, capers, and I put some fennel fronds. I don't have any fresh dill, or I would do that. It's really tasty, and you can't identify like, this tastes like black licorice, because it doesn't. Okay, so that's the first part. And then this other part that's going to go in the food processor is I'm taking, ahead of time, I took 1/2 cup of sunflowers and I soaked them in boiling water for 30 minutes. So I'm going to put that in. Does the person cooking normally do all this much talking. I feel kind of self-conscious.
No, you're fine. You're doing fine. Usually the talking is split between Rachel and our other master chefs. So you're carrying the full load.
It's like Leanne took the talking stick and she hasn't given it back.
And I
So
imagine, I know for myself, it's hard to talk when no one is around. So you're doing a fantastic job.
okay.
You're running with it well.
Just know that I'm not trying to monopolize all the talking. Okay, so here we go. So I put the half a cup of sunflower seeds that I've soaked for 30 minutes. You could soak them overnight if you wanted to. And then I'm going to add 3 tablespoons of tahini. Just get my little scraper. 3 tablespoons of tahini. And then I'm going to add 2 tablespoons of nutritional yeast. And there are people in my family that don't like the taste of mustard, but this calls for a teaspoon of Dijon, and they don't seem to notice it. But again, if you don't want to use mustard, it's totally fine. Doesn't change the recipe. And then we have 3 tablespoons of lemon juice and 1 tablespoon of either liquid aminos, or I just use a low sodium soy sauce. I actually like Trader Joe's low sodium, but then, or I go to my local Asian food market and they have it very reasonable. Okay, so that's my timer. You can watch me scamper to my stove. So that's been 15 minutes, and I think it needs another 5. So yes, it does come together quickly. Okay, so right there. So this is the seed part. Again, tahini, soy sauce, mustard, nutritional yeast, lemon juice. And should I mute it?
I think if you can mute it, normally the food processor is not as loud, but I'm
Oh,
not
yeah.
sure about yours. But go ahead and just mute it while you're
Okay.
processing.
Okay, so this recipe says that it should be like a thick paste. I just tend to pulse it. And I just don't want chunks of sunflower. You want it, I don't want people to realize, oh, I just ate a sunflower. I want it to be more mysterious. What is that deliciousness in there? Okay. So I will see if I can show.
So I have a question for you, Leanne.
Yeah.
If you usually chop your capers or mash your capers anyhow, could you put your capers in at this point?
Oh, sorry. I put my capers. Okay. So now I have 2. Good question. Because that was something I wanted to make sure I pointed out, because I have to read the recipe over and over because I always want to stick the capers in here. But the capers go in the garbanzo. So they're chopped, but well, you could, but you see, yeah, I suppose, Laura, it would be more of a texture thing. So, so yeah, you could just dump them in here, especially if there are people that don't like capers, and then Like Dan doesn't like capers, so I just don't announce it, and he likes this spread, but he just doesn't like them plain. So I might make a note to do that because that's one, one less. I'm all about efficiency. Okay, so then I am just going to transfer this to the garbanzo bean, and then I'm going to mix it up. And just kind of fold it in, I guess. I think normally it's just a tad wetter, but so it's okay that it's chunky. I would rather have the garbanzo beans be what you see. Although there are people, like my older sister doesn't like garbanzo beans. So if I was making this for her, I probably would blend them up a little more, almost like hummus texture. So, okay. So you can kind of see that. So then that gets set aside because we're going to end up putting it in the pita. Okay, this will be your spread that goes in. And sometimes I just make a little tray that I take with me of lettuce and tomato. But sometimes I get a little fancier. So let me grab a salad tray. I don't have anybody here to hand this to make room. Okay, so I will make a little dressing to go across the top, but what I've done is I've taken a bowl of salad greens and I mixed, I'm always trying to get super greens into my family, like kale, spinach, cauliflower, broccoli, Napa cabbage, shaved Brussels sprouts. So this, I took the, to me, the secret for kids is chopping the kale really, really small, or I'll even put it in my food processor and pulse it so that's my quick and lazy way. So it softens it up. So, I am going to add, I wonder if you guys can see me. Yeah, I'm going to add this cream to the soup. I just always, yeah, I want it to be, yeah. Okay. And then you really are just stirring it a little bit. I'm just going to set the timer probably for 3 minutes and wait for it to kind of thicken up. So, okay. So this salad, I'm making it so it'll be pretty. So let's say I say to you, let's go on a picnic and I'll bring this along. My friend Shannon sent this along. We were picnicking in Maine and she couldn't be there and she sent this with her husband. So we used it on the pitas. So I'm going to take this and I'm going to show you all my toppings. I'm sorry I don't have something looking down. I'm going to put them in piles all over the salad. And if I go like this, can you see? So I'm going to begin with carrots, and sometimes I shred them. I had some matchsticks already that I wanted to use up, but I think my family likes shredded better. I just want it really colorful. And that's for carrots. And then now I'm going to do cucumbers. And it's not like this is rocket science, but I loved how it was all prepared and so pretty. And I have bowls that are a little bit better to take out than this one. Now I'll do tomatoes. I probably would do grape tomatoes, but these needed to be used up for my garden. So I'll put those there. I love purple. So we have some purple cabbage on top. Not too much. I diced up some apricots or apricots. I learned to say them as apricots, but apricots and some dried cranberries. And I'm going to do some pepitas. Now I chose not to add avocado because with all these nuts, it's not low fat. I'm doing walnuts. But my family, this is our kind of, we just love toppings. But you can leave off anything that is not appealing. And then pine nuts. And then I'm doing some of those fresh, I have some parsley and some fennel fronds that I chopped up, sprinkle that over. And let's see, I think I have one left. Oh, two last bowls. A lot of times you can do edible peas. I did a little bit of celery and then I did some fresh green beans, but I sort of think those fresh green beans taste a little bit like soap. So that might've been a bad idea. And then the last thing is I like having a little lemon zest. So I kind of want to call this my rainbow salad, but I feel like I need to have blue or violet. So you can kind of, I don't know, let's see, let me hold it up this way. So you can see all the different, colors.
Yeah, that's beautiful. That looks really delicious.
And then you can kind of pick around what you don't like. Okay, so that's my soup. And
I have never made a salad that way, but I love the idea because it's gorgeous. And then you can, you can put in what you want and leave out what you don't want.
yeah, I mean, because your inclination is that you'd want to toss it, but I found with the pitas, people just kind of pick and chose what they want. And then she just sealed it. And so we have just loved this. I mean, it's especially helpful if you can get other people. Oh, see, I'm telling you, I'm a toppings. If I ever tell you, oh, I'm tired from cooking, you can just say, stop making so many toppings. I forgot some fresh broccoli. I'm not even sure where to tuck that in, but so you've got super green of kale, and I did put a little chopped up spinach, and you've got some broccoli. So, okay, I'll move this out of the way. And like I said, I just pulse the spinach in my food processor, and that really helped. I did the purple cabbage. If you're going to get your food processor dirty, I just go for it. I try to, right, Laura? Try to do everything I possibly can.
Yes.
So you've got your spread, you have this beautiful salad that looks complicated. I wouldn't have thought of the lemon zest. I really liked that addition. So then, okay. So then we want a little dressing so people can either choose to do a salad and maybe just stick, because it is a lot of flavors for people. I wish that you guys were here and you could sample it. That's what would be so fun in the future. Okay, so this dressing, but you could use any kind of dressing. I mean, this dressing does have more capers in it, and there's plenty of times I just leave that out because it's kind of, it can be too salty. But so this, and I just use this as a drizzle. This is called a vegan cashew Caesar salad dressing. So you probably have something like this that you make. But I was telling Rachel, I don't think I could ever have too many salad dressing recipes, especially ones that don't have oil. I mean, it does have cashews. So it's not like it's non-fat, but okay, so we're going to start with, so this is a Caesar salad dressing. We're going to do a fourth of a cup water. And I have cashews. It's a half a cup of cashews, and I soaked those for 30 minutes. And then I have a half a teaspoon, I'm looking for my scraper, of Dijon mustard. And again, if that's, I guess because I have people that just choose the dressing, you can leave it out if you don't want that, it still tastes good. And then you're going to do a half a teaspoon of garlic powder, and you're going to do a small clove of garlic. So I just stuck it both in there. A teaspoon, 1 clove of garlic, which you can do more. If Christian was making this, he would do more. I tease him about, I don't know how he's going to get married someday because he just reeks of garlic all the time because he eats so much garlic or hot sauce. Okay, then we're going to do a half a tablespoon of low sodium soy sauce or tamari or Bragg's liquid aminos, whatever you prefer. And then I have 2 teaspoons of capers. Again, that's optional. This recipe calls for salt, but if you're using the soy sauce and capers, then you leave the salt out. But if you don't want the soy sauce or capers, you can add the salt. And I don't think it also calls for a tablespoon of lemon juice. Okay. So let's turn you over here, and I will mute. And then I have a little jar that I'll put it in. Anybody have anything to say? Are you good?
We're good. Let's blend it up and
Okay.
see what happens.
All right. Okay.
The unfortunate part of having Zoom and cooking this way is that you don't get to taste the food, and it all looks so delicious.
So I'm just about to die right now.
I know this looks really good.
So many pretty colors.
I'm actually trying to do something else, not even look at it. Probably the best option.
Some time ago, Susan introduced me to a Korean drama that was all about cooking. So we would watch it in the evening, like 9 or 10, Taejangum, if you are tracking Korean dramas. And it did nothing but just make me hungry because it was all of this cooking. And of course, eating late at night is not ideal.
Not unless you want to look like a sumo wrestler.
Right.
Sorry to leave you guys. Just I realized I can't talk when I'm muted. I added a little bit more. I think that I've made this in my food processor, and sometimes I have better luck with that because this is still a little bit chunky. So it's kind of depends on what you like, but I don't know.
But does it have a dressing? It has a dressing consistency. It's more of a liquid when.
Yeah, it is, but I just think that I'm gonna just blend it a little bit more because I want it a little bit smoother. But I'm just saying that I think I go back and forth between the food processor and the Vitamix. So
Mhm.
let me just mute myself so you guys can talk amongst yourself.
All right.
So Leanne, I think you can still hear us. So I'm going to put this question out there for thought. I wonder, I have never used fennel before. And so I'm wondering if you use the bulb as well as the fronds, if you have any recipes for the bulb that you would suggest or uses for how you use it. Whenever you come back to us.
Did you say something?
Yeah, sorry. I was wondering how you use the bulb of the fennel, or if you do.
Oh,
Or if you just use the fronds, because I've never used fennel at all in my cooking, other than dried spice.
yeah. Let me just grab something. I wasn't gonna. Oh, yeah. I'm sorry. Time goes by so fast. I wanted to show you this. Once I knew that Rachel and I weren't going to be together, I thought, oh, I'm going to run out of time. This is one way I use fennel. And what I do, there's a product at Trader Joe's, they're Cruciferous Slaw. And I make every week, or no, this lasts me about 10 days. I make, I don't know if you can see it okay, but I use my food processor. I put it all in a big bowl. And I do purple cabbage. I just go to Aldi and get some Brussels sprouts. This has spinach, kale. And then I put half of that fennel bulb. I put that in the food processor. So it's a real mild taste. What else is in here? So kale, spinach. Oh, Napa cabbage is considered another super green in terms of just releasing that nitric oxide to keep your arteries clear. My mom has heart disease and she's made dramatic gains by eating greens every day. So I just have it handy. And then my kids, we sprinkle this in that, but we sprinkle it in so small. They'll just chow down on a plate of this. So that's how you could use the fennel. This is, oh, okay. Well, what I want to say is, so what I do is I put a paper towel on the bottom and then I fill it halfway. This is just a Dollar Tree container. I put another paper towel and then I put a paper towel on top and I store it like this in the refrigerator. And it lasts a good 10 days, if not longer, but usually it doesn't stick around. So, I mean, it takes 45 minutes to do. So, but I just feel so good about, I don't know, I feel like I've climbed a mountain when I put this in my fridge, like, here you go. So that's what so I'm just learning how to use fennel, Laura. that's all I know how to do so far. The fronds, I put this in here. I have a couple of recipes in that Sure's Eye book where they cook it up and put it in things. I just haven't done it yet. So
Thank you. I appreciate it.
okay, so I am not. Somebody usually does like a chunky salad dressing, so I don't know. I mean, it's definitely salad dressing consistency, and that is smoother. I just had to add water to it where I haven't had to before. So I mean, it is salad dressing consistency, but just know, you know, like anything, you may have to add water to get it to what you like. So I'm realizing the time. Yeah.
I found that in my blender, I have to always do 2 cups. Like if you're using a Vitamix, you almost always have to do 2 cups to get it smooth texture. So I
Okay.
don't know if that might help. Otherwise, I end up doing it in the food processor as well, because you just can't get it smooth enough without a high amount of volume.
Well, that's good to know, because as some of you know, I'm not a natural cook. When I got married, I couldn't cook. So I just always learned, like, these tricks are so important because I've used my food processor and then the liquid comes out the top because it's more than 2 cups, right? Yeah. So those are the tricks that cooking schools teach you. So thank you. Okay, so what you would do then is and I'll just kind of, so you'd take your pita and you'd put some of your spread in, and then you could, if you wanted to, have some, a lot of times I'll serve it with tongs. So I just put in some, just maybe 2 tablespoons down there. And then I'm just kind of picking, and after a while it all gets mixed in, but I have generous piles. So like usually there's more of these things. I use a bigger bowl. So people don't have to stand there wondering, am I going to get any walnuts or whatever? And I just put a little bit out on the top, but it's a beautiful salad if people just want to have the spread and have a salad on the side. And then I just drizzle a little bit of this. So, but for some that it might be too many flavors. I like to have something for everybody. Okay, so I'm aware of the time.
By the way, based on your Alexa usage,
My Siri is talking to me, and I don't know why.
just say Alexa, open box.
Okay, sorry. So let's see, potato, pita spread. So the next thing, really the last thing in 7 minutes is fresh rolls with a dipping sauce. So let's bring that. I wish if I could use my phone, I would show you the big pile of mess that's on the side. I just keep shoving everything. So
I love that you keep it real.
I am nothing but real. Okay. So fresh rolls. So the funny story about the fresh rolls is that my kids call them, well, we were calling them spring rolls. I like fresh rolls, the fresh blobs, because I haven't learned to roll them very well. And Rachel was going to throw me, some help and show me. So we'll do them together. But I guess what I want to show you is they're just, even if they don't come out beautiful, they're just so easy to make. And my kids, they love having that pita spread. We often do that on Sabbath, but this will, it's really hot out. We just have a whole big platter of fresh rolls. So let me just show you some of the toppings that we like. There's, I like to use, you can use romaine. I also like the bib lettuce. My kids like that. It's nice and soft. There's a lot of, I'm just looking for my noodles. A lot of different noodles you could do. These are the ones that just cook. I mean, you just put them in water for 2 minutes. I'm looking for the package. I think often the other ones you might cook for 5 minutes, but I just went to the Asian food market and got, I don't think these even really say, they're just a rice noodle. So from what I just get whatever I can find and people don't seem to mind. So you've got noodle. I slice some cucumbers, really fine. I like to use the English one. A lot of times this comes together with whatever I've got in my fridge. We're having spring rolls. I do tofu. You can roast tofu or tempeh. I often just do it fresh. And I've got the carrots. I like the purple cabbage. I have Thai basil. I just went into, well, Rachel has a ton of it, but I didn't know that. I went to the Asian food store. Avocado, if you'd like to have that. Some peppers. And one thing that we really like doing is I get frozen mango from Costco and I just take some out and thaw it and chop that up. Somebody ate it all up, but I have peaches. So we also like to put this time of year peaches in for that kind of sweet. So I am just going to, and then I have a dipping sauce. So feel free to jump in if you have a topping that you really like or a different way that you make this, or as you see me floundering, you can say, roll it this way.
So one of the things that Susan makes with the peanuts, she makes a peanut sauce, a fresh peanut sauce, which may be similar to your dipping sauce. I don't know. But that what we do is we'll just put a little spoon, just kind of drizzle the dripping sauce onto the, once your wrapper is softened, I start with the dipping sauce, or not the dipping sauce, but the peanut sauce, and then just lay the other stuff on top of that, and it's really good.
Well, do you, and see.
And roasted peanuts. We also include roasted peanuts.
Oh, I would like that.
I have an off-camera guest with me here in the room, shouting things out.
Oh yeah, that sounds really tasty. Well, and the drizzling, I like to do that because I feel like it's less fat, because otherwise you've got this whole thing and you're just dipping it in. Whereas, so do you put all your toppings and then you drizzle on top of that? Is that
So what I do, I mean, well, you can do it either way. What I do is I have the flat rice paper, then I take a spoon and I just kind of draw a line of like the peanut sauce, and then put the other toppings on top of that and then wrap it up.
Nice. Yeah, that sounds good. I'll just have to rinse out one of my containers, but yes, I have I would like to compare peanut sauce recipes. So, let me just get, now I've seen different YouTube videos where they say it doesn't matter if it's warm water or cold water.
So the way we do it, is everybody gets a bowl of hot water. So Susan boils the water and then carries it over. And then, so each person has their own little bowl. So you just kind of dip it in, but we do use the boiling. Obviously not boiling because you don't want to burn your hands.
But hot?
But hot, very hot.
Of course, it's taking a while to get warm, but yeah, I like the idea of everybody having their own. What do you have? Like, I tried pie plate containers. I've seen that. These were too big. Are yours smaller than these?
So our
It's this
our
brand.
wrappers are a little bit smaller, I think, than that one. But then what we do is we have the bowls, like serving dishes. We have a lot of those because we end up using those for soup because they're a nice size for Korean soups.
Yeah.
And the way I do it is and you're probably doing the same thing, you hold one edge and you're just kind of rotating it around. So we don't put the whole thing in at one time.
Okay, well, see, this is where we're learning together because I've seen both methods and I wasn't actually sure which one is better. So I've seen the rotating. Does it get less?
This is the one.
Oh
that we
yeah, I
have,
have some of
and you
those
can
too.
compare like to my hand size, so you can see.
Yeah.
I think it's smaller.
So just kind of, you're saying you rotate.
Yeah,
It
yeah,
seems
kind of
it
like
would-
that, but I don't want
Yeah.
to mess up your flow. Do it the way you normally do.
Well, this is a new way. I just had watched a video of that way as well. So things always sound easy until I go to try and get my hands to do them. And then, do you put it on a wet towel or just
No,
a?
we just we kind of drain as much water off as possible, and we just put it on our plates
Oh, okay.
because we're making them as we eat them. We're not doing it ahead of time for like
Yeah.
a
Okay.
larger number.
Okay. So I've seen them this way. I've seen them closer and then you're going to roll them.
Yeah. So that's what we do is kind of put it sort of maybe 2/3 of the way to one edge, like you have it.
Yeah.
And then you kind of put everything on there and then
I
over that edge.
like to put the purple on the bottom so I see it.
Mhm.
Okay. I wish I had dried. Now, do you do the lettuce at all, the whole things, or do you kind of not?
Yes.
Yeah, you do. Okay.
Mhm.
And I really like putting mint in. This is Thai basil. I know other people do cilantro.
Yeah, we have mint, and so we'll go pick sprigs of mint and put it in. It's very good.
So when I'm doing it, I usually keep my basil leaves really flat, and I'll usually put one down and then the other the opposite way. And then I put everything else on top so that I see the basil, because I don't use
yeah.
purple on mine, but now that you've got the idea of purple, I may have to do both.
Mhm.
Oh, that would be really pretty. Yes. Okay. I'm gonna try that. Well, as far as, and so I'm gonna put some avocado in. As far as making a head, I'm just gonna make a few for the boys. And what I do is I put them on a platter with some lettuce down so then they don't stick. And then I just cover it with a wet towel. I mean, normally they're getting inhaled as fast as I can make them. And then I'm gonna put a peach, but I do like mango. Okay, so this is the tricky part for people like me. Okay, so my understanding is I'm gonna go like this.
Mhm. Yep.
Okay. All right. See it
And
and
then
then fold.
tuck in your edges just like that. That's beautiful.
I don't know what, you know what I was doing before is I was putting it this way.
Mm.
I things just don't come naturally to me. Oh yeah, that is better. I mean, I think is that a little too fat or kind of,
No, I think that looks good.
can Susan
It's
see
about
it?
the right.
I think so. A lot of times, Laura, I do the Thai basil instead of this bib lettuce because then I can see the purple more. But we kind of just change it up. So then I can just set it on that platter with the lettuce.
I love the idea of setting it on the lettuce, because I'm always, if I'm making them ahead, I'm stuck at how to keep them from sticking. So I like that.
Mhm.
Yeah, or you can, right, and you can put a piece of lettuce in between or kale or something. So it's pretty, but yes. Okay. So, oh dear. What do you want? Do you want me to do the peanut sauce or should we end and I just include the recipe? What feels
Did
best?
we finish the soup? Because I remember
Yeah, can we
started
see,
with the soup.
maybe we'll take the peanut sauce just as the recipe,
Sure.
but let's definitely look at the soup and
Okay.
admire it.
So and if I had cooked it even longer, it does get even thicker than this. So as you can kind of see, it's not super thick. But normally, because it has that cornstarch, it will thicken up, and as it sits, it will thicken a little bit more. I don't know, it's not too exciting to look at right now. So like if I were, I would, let's see. I could do, you can kind of see me pour it in. It's just kind of, sorry, the way the,
And then I think at the beginning you had 6 cups of vegetables. So is
Yeah.
that like half carrots and they're not half potatoes and then
yeah, I always do. So when I'm doing the 6 cups, I always do 1 onion. That's my base.
okay.
Then I did probably 3 good sized carrots. And then I did 2 or 3 things of celery, and then I finished with potatoes. So that was probably 4 or 5 potatoes. And I cleaned them well, left the skin on. I really like to do the yellow. And so now if I were going to serve this, I could put a little bit of that slaw that I was telling you, just as a little, it's so fine that doesn't seem to bother people. Like my older sister doesn't like green things. And so and you put just a little bit.
Right.
But yeah, you can add cauliflower or broccoli. So, and the peanut butter dip is pretty straightforward. The only thing that's in it that maybe you don't typically put in is miso. I don't know if that's in yours. So it just has peanut butter and maple syrup, soy sauce, lemon juice, ginger, and miso. And I just blend it all up. And then I like Doug's idea of putting a little strip of that because I want to enjoy it, but it is a half a cup of peanut butter. So I'm just always trying to look for ways to have good fresh food without drowning my
Right.
sorrows in a big thing of peanut butter.
Well, we'll have your peanut sauce recipe that we'll put on the list, and then I'll
Yeah.
get Susan's as well.
Oh,
and
I would love
put it
that.
on the blog too, or on the page, and I'll send that to you so you can compare
Yeah.
with yours.
Yeah, and so the thing that you do differently also is the chopped roasted peanuts, right?
Right.
Yeah, that sounds
And then you
good.
just sprinkle some of those. So it is a little bit nut heavy with the peanut
Well-
sauce and the peanuts, but the crunch of the peanuts is really
It's
good.
just a garnish.
Yeah,
That's
right.
the thing I tell my kids. It's meant to be a garnish.
Mhm.
Give that back. It's just a garnish. So
Okay, well,
well,
thank you.
thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much, Leanne. This was great. You did a wonderful job
Thank you so
And-
much.
talking
I
us through the
definitely need to
recipes.
more
and
Thank you. Hi, Natalia.
this is-
Very thorough.
We are recording this, so this will be on YouTube, so you can share with others. And we have several people who had registered that I think did not get the email this week. We had a little email snafu. So I'll
Oh.
be sharing this video with them too. So everybody can catch up on another lovely evening of recipes. And then I understand from Rachel, we have one more night of recipes, one more night of cooking. And that is going to be next Thursday at 7. And Rachel, whose home are we going to be in?
We'll be in Betty Abraham's home.
Okay.
Is the plan. We'll see how that goes.
Yeah.
So do you know what kind of food Betty will be cooking?
Indian?
Yeah.
Well, I don't want to assume, but that is
She
wonderful.
is.
I love Indian, so I'll look forward to that.
Mm.
So, all right. Well, thank you again, Leanne, for opening up
Yeah.
your home and making a mess of your kitchen.
I wish you guys were here to eat some of it.
I know it. I'm sure I know it's all delicious and smells really good.
If I was there would be none left.
What?
All right.
I said if I was there would be none left.
Yes. Yes, I was counting on you.
All right. Well, thanks everyone for
Thank
tuning
you.
in, and we'll say goodbye for tonight and see you next week.
Okay. Bye.
Bye-bye.